Today we begin a series of video conversations in which we're thinking together about the connection between faith and politics. Few people would disagree that the hyperpartisanship and the polarization in American politics today is keeping us from getting things done. In fact, last survey I saw, almost 3/4 of all Americans agreed with this statement. And what we find, of course, is that Republicans and Democrats have very different ways of approaching things. We appear to look like we are in the midst of a game. We sort of see this as though it's a football game. I'm wearing my Kansas City Chiefs jersey. They've won a playoff game recently as I'm recording this. And if we think of American politics as a game and we think of, say, football, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs, their paychecks, the players' paychecks all come from the Kansas City Chiefs organization. Their job is to defeat their opponents. Their job is to win the game. And their aim is to figure out every strategy possible to be able to do all that they can to win the game. But that's not how politics is meant to work. Unfortunately, it's how it seems to work today. So we have Republicans and Democrats who act as though they're seeking to see their team win the game and to defeat the other side. But the paychecks for all members of Congress are coming from the same place. We're all on the same team. Our aim is to bring our distinctive ideas together to bear on the problems we face in America. And instead of seeking to defeat the other side, our aim is to win a victory for everyone. And that's for everyone in America, but it's not only for America, it's for the world. We're asking, how do we work together for the common good? And that has to be the role that we begin to play in American politics. I spoke with a congressman recently who said to me that he went to Congress hoping to fix the problem, believing that the problem was with Congress. And I think that's how many of us believe, so that Congress today has a 13% approval rating. And so that tells us a lot of people blame Congress for what's going wrong in the country. But he said, when I got there and I wanted to fix Congress, I quickly began to find that I was hearing from my constituents who were upset that I was compromising, upset that I was trying to work with the other side, that they actually wanted me to fight harder for our partisan positions. And what struck me about this was that maybe the problem isn't Congress. Maybe the problem is us. Maybe it's our understanding of politics that's working so hard to win our victories, to beat the enemy. And oftentimes our failure to recognize that both parties in our two-party system, and of course there are more than just the two parties, but both parties have something important to add to the conversation. I think about my wife and I, and we see the world very differently. We talk about spending money differently, we see raising kids differently. In so many ways we're different, and those differences cause irritation. So at least 3 times a week we get really irritated with each other. And at least once a week one of us or the other is raising our voice. I mean, we get mad about these things. But you know what we don't do is go post on Facebook a picture of the spouse and talk about what a wretch they are. We actually have this covenant in which we're committed to try to make this thing work. And so we try to listen to each other, we respect each other, we treat each other with love, and then we find common ground and common solutions. And in the end, I compromise, she compromises, we both compromise, and after 33 years of marriage, we've come to respect our differences and appreciate them. I want to mention a couple of scriptures that I think we might bring to bear in our politics during this important election season. And these scriptures are teaching us something about what God expects of us. They're things that you're very familiar with. But I just remind you of what Jesus says when he tells us that we're to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. He even tells us we're to love our enemy. Love is meant to be the defining characteristic of the Christian faith. And as we think about that, that love isn't a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's a way of acting towards other people with the respect, with dignity, acting out of humility. It's seeking to serve the other, not seeking to best them. And then he tells us that the golden rule summarizes the law and the prophets when he says, treat others as you would have them treat you. What would happen if we practiced our politics in this way? Sociologists tell us that when people break bread together, people of opposing views break bread together and they develop a relationship, they suddenly begin to work for common ground. And we don't do that until we actually get to know other people. So I want to encourage you to think about getting to know other people and be able to break bread with them. And then I want to remind you of what the Apostle Paul says. He tells us that we are to let no evil talk come out of our mouths, but only what is useful for building up as there is need, that our words might give grace to those who hear. Let's practice politics this way, and let's, as Christians, be part of the solution and not part of the problem this election season.